Hello, everybody. So today's case is about Jermain Charlo. This is another case that has been on my list to do for a while now, and I'm very excited to present this case to you. She is a missing Native American woman, and we actually have a decent amount of details on her case, which is rare, especially for Native American cases. So I'm just ready to present this to you. So that is what we're going to do. But first, there are links down below that I used for research. I encourage you to go to them and do your own research on the case. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. So, Jermain Austin Charlo, her last name is also known as, or she has the last name, I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, Morijo. And she was born on April 23rd, 1995, and was 23 at the time she went missing. And the date she went missing, I seen it vary between June 15th and June 16th of 2018. She stands at about 5'9", 130 pounds, and she was enrolled in the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes of the Flathead Reservation. She would be 28 today, and she is described as an amazing person by the people who knew her. And I have a quote from her cousin, Chayla Jeweler, and Chayla says, "I miss our petty fights in stealing her clothes. I miss walking with her. I miss her," end quote. And this little bit is kind of a letter from her grandmother, and it says, "A message to my granddaughter." And this is from Uncovered. And this message says, "Dear Jermain, if you're anywhere at all that you can read this, please know I love you. So many people love you. We pray you'll feel this love and it will strengthen you to survive whatever it is you're dealing with or whoever has you. We know you would not just walk away from your family, and especially not your sons, Thomas and Jake. They need you now more than ever. Please know we're not giving up. So many are doing so much. Do not lose faith. God gives his strongest battles to his toughest soldiers. All my love, your Yaya." And that brought a tear to my eye when I first read that. To just know the pain that this woman has to be going through, it's horrible. But what actually happened to Jermain? Let's get into that now. Jermain was last seen at a downtown Missoula bar on the night of June 15th, 2018 in Montana. Sometime after midnight on June 16th, she vanished. She was last seen on surveillance footage outside the Badlander bar. Court documents related to a search warrant indicate she had been with her former boyfriend and father to Thomas and Jake, and his name is Michael DeFrance. The court docs also say that he is potentially the last person to see her. Michael claimed that he dropped her off in a nearby Missoula neighborhood later that night. Jermain was reported missing by her mom that Sunday, and on Wednesday, her aunt, Valinda Underwood, met with the Missoula PD. A detective was assigned to the case who checked hospitals, the jail, and Jermain's social media accounts and called her cell phone. In the months since her disappearance, there were warrants issued to search for evidence, including one for Michael's residence in the Evaro area, and to obtain cell phone and other digital records. Those warrants indicated her cell phone was detected to be in the Evaro Hill area in the early hours of June 16th from around 2 a.m. until 10 a.m. Her phone was never found. So MPD has said that the numerous suspects have been identified, but they have not been publicly identified. So they have an idea who it is, they have names, but they have not come out and said who they believe is responsible. Jermain is a prolific social media poster, and she stopped all online activity the night she vanished. And this is another quote from the Missoula Police Department detective Guy Baker. And he says, "I can say with confidence that in the early morning hours of June 16th, 2018, Jermain Charlo's pattern of life was deviated, and it changed that night, and she has not had contact with family, no activity on social media, and that concerns me. The fact that it's been 5 years, yes, I believe she is no longer with us. But there has been situations across the country where women have been held captive for years, and people thought something had happened. As far as Jermain goes, I'm hopeful, but being thoughtful and realistic. I think she's no longer with us. And that is a heartbreaking thing uh, to have to admit, but I do agree. So the investigation has identified about three theories um, about what has happened to her, what might have happened to her. Either she was trafficked, she vanished due to drug related activity, or someone she knew was involved in her disappearance. The search area on Ivaro Hill is full of animal bones and thick trees, which makes searching for evidence even more difficult. And Guy Baker says he sought assistance from uh, Forensic Anthropology Department, and that is so that they would come out and look at the bones to determine if they were human or animal, and they are animal. Thousands of hours have been dedicated to finding Jermain. Those searches have included drones and dogs and other forensic technology. Volunteers and law enforcement searches have also been done as well. And this is another quote from Guy Baker. He says, "This is truly like a needle in a haystack, especially when you look at one canyon and one mountain. It can seem daunting when you look at one aerial view to see what you're dealing with." End quote. And I'm going to have photos of Missoula, Montana on the screen. And first of all, it's incredibly beautiful, of course, but there is a lot of mountains. There's a lot of canyons. There's a lot of tough places to have to look. So I'm sure it does seem daunting. I couldn't imagine having to search that area. National exposure to the case helped generate leads, including the podcast Stolen by Connie Walker, that generated out of state interest. Valinda was asked if she believed Jermain to be deceased, and she said yes. And she says 5 years. It's a needle in the haystack, especially in Avaro. It's very, very hard to find things. I mean, we've had I don't know how many searches, I don't know how many volunteers we've had coming and helping us look, and every time it's like you always hope to find her, but at the same time you don't. Valinda is grateful for those who volunteered to search over the years in that area where Jermain might be, and hopes someone might remember seeing her that night in 2018. Guy Baker is dedicated to keeping her story out there, and it's even his own cell phone number on her billboard, and is willing to travel anywhere to talk to a witness. Honestly, I feel like it's incredibly rare to have a police detective be that dedicated to a case. Maybe it's more often than we know of, they just don't say anything. But I feel like in so many cases of minorities, especially Native Americans, it's like the police just don't care. So having a police detective that shows like they actually excuse my language, gives a shit is one, the bare minimum, but is incredibly satisfying because like it's like for once someone is doing their job, which you don't see that often in these cases. Earlier in 2023, Michael was found guilty of owning guns when he was not legally allowed to do so after a 2013 misdemeanor assault case. He was charged with violence against his then girlfriend, Jermain, and the firearms case came about during the investigation into her disappearance. On September 21st, 2023, he was sentenced to 21 months in federal prison. So far, no one has been convicted in Jermain's case. And to this day, we still really don't have any answers. I feel like we kind of all have an idea of what we think happened. Maybe you aren't thinking the same thing as me, but personally, my brain is going to Michael. He's the last person to have seen her. He's claiming he dropped her off in this neighborhood where really we don't really have any witnesses that say yes, he did that. And then now he's being found guilty of owning guns when he's not supposed to, so he's not against breaking the law in a fairly big way. He's was charged with violence against Jermain before. Who's to say he wouldn't do it again, and this time it cost her life? So in my head, my brain goes to Michael and the theory that it was someone who she knew that did this to her, but obviously it could always be anything. It could be anything until we actually have answers. With that being said, I do have a phone number for you if you have any information. It is the Missoula Police Department. It's 406-396-3217. Again, it's 406-396-3217. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. What is your theory about what happened to Jermain? I really, really hope we find her, and if her family comes across this video, I just want to say that I am so sorry that you're having to go through this, but I hope that you are given your answer soon, and we can bring Jermain home. Thank you so much for listening to her story, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye, guys.